everybody. I was just adjusting the camera there. I have a hard time getting it straight on the way I have it set up. So there we go. Hopefully that looks good for everybody. Okay. Hope everybody's got their kits. The cards, if you didn't rearrange the envelopes, the cards should be in the order we are going to work on them. So this is going to be the first card, and your envelope, whether you have a unfolded card or a folded card, is this, whoops, sorry, desert sand color. And you've got the heart paper and some white, it looks like it's got brush strokes in it. And another piece of the heart paper and a strip of shimmer trim. Okay, it's been a while. Oh, and circle. So it's been a while since I've actually made these card samples, so hopefully I'll remember how to make them without too much trouble. We needed a delay. There's some time in there for me to order supplies and get them, and then get them to you all in time. And then last week, of course, was the holiday, so I was trying to avoid that. So your cardstock is 4 inches wide by 11 inches long. If it's not already folded, if I mailed them, most of them I mailed, I had to fold. So you're already on this step, but if I haven't folded them yet, they get scored. Sorry, when I put it in the scoreboard, it didn't look like the right length, but it is. They get scored at 5.5. And if you didn't want to score them, you can go ahead and just fold it. That's fine. This cardstock is a retired color. This, you know, all our new cardstocks have the true color on one side and a lighter shade of the color on the back, but this one is an older one, and so it has the same color front and back, so it doesn't matter which side you score on. And then we are going to put down our decorative paper. So we'll put down the hearts paper first, and again, this is an old collection of paper that I pulled out that I really liked with these die cuts. So on one side it has the design in white, and then on the back it's actually, you can see the shine, it's a resist design. And actually, to give you a sneak preview, the new catalog, which comes out on August 1st, is going to have several of these resist papers in them, but they're going to be white, and so you can ink over them and you'll get like this kind of look, because the resist, the shiny, will stay white, and then whatever color ink you put over them, the background will turn that color. So if you like that look, there's more coming, and I will probably do some kind of class with them. I'm gonna have the white side show, but if you like the other side, you can certainly use that instead. And I'm going to attach it to the front of the card, and I'm going to do our usual 1/8 inch border around the left and the right sides and the bottom. So 3 of the sides, it'll have an equal border with all of the space on the top. And then we're going to put this white with the brush strokes. The back is just kind of a khaki. So again, if you like that look, you could do it, but the die cuts aren't going to show up quite so, um, they won't show up against those quite as well. Some of the other colors of the paper, you might like one side better than the other. Now this paper collection that the white is from and the other colors we'll be using, hold on, I'm gonna put these again at the top using that 1/8 inch border on the left, right, and top. My my piece is going to overlap the hearts just slightly to get that even border at the top, which is fine because you could see we're going to put that strip of shimmer trim right across that intersection, so it doesn't matter if it's overlapping. So now you've got that 1/8 inch border all around the decorative paper. So I was saying that this white comes from the Hope and Kindness coordinating cardstock collection, which is why they're called the Hope and Kindness cards. The die cuts are from that same collection too. And this is the shimmer trim. So the shimmer trim does have the sticky on it, and it has that clear kind of acetate backing on it that you can hopefully grab a hold of and pull off. And this is going to go straight across the intersection, and you can put it, you know, line it up with one piece of paper or the other, or right around the middle, whatever you like. I'm actually, my ends, I always try to cut it just slightly longer. I'm going to have it overhang on both sides of the card because they weren't cut exactly straight on either side. So that way I can just trim at the edge of the cardstock on both sides and make sure I have a nice straight edge. And then collect my little pieces that went flying. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put the piece on the inside of the card too before we get to the die cut. So this is just a little strip. It's a little you know, decorative piece. You don't have to put it on if you want. If you want to wait to see if you put a greeting stamp that might be a little wider and you need that space, that's fine. But I just sometimes like to put a little something on the inside. You know, once you started decorating the insides, and it seemed like they were boring if you didn't have anything. So I don't try to put a lot, but just a little bit to carry the design through. And now we are going to dig into our die cuts. So there, you can see there's a ton of die cuts on these sheets, and you're going to have a ton left over, so you can make some more cards or scrapbook pages or whatever. So we're going to use this, whoops, let me get on. We're going to use the scallop circle, which should be pretty easy to find over here on the left side. And we're going to use this this heart in a circle. We're not actually going to use the heart for now, so just put that aside. But we are going to use the circle with the heart cut out of it. And this banner down here in the bottom left corner that has the white plaid printed on it, I'm going to use that. And then we're going to use the little heart stamp. It looks like a stamp because it has that edge on it that postage stamps have, that white heart with a white stitched outline. So those are the 4 die cuts we're going to use for this card. Now, if any of them are coming loose, be careful. You don't want to lose them. I'm just going to put this over here. There's my backing for my shimmer trim. Okay, and this is the shimmer trim color is called Capri. All right, so I'm gonna put the scallop on flat, and it's because it's a circle, I'm just kind of going around with my adhesive gun and just putting little strips to kind of get around the circle, and then a little bit in the center. And I'm going to put this centered on the shimmer trim strip on the right side of the card. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but. And then the blue cardstock, which is also Capri, and this one does have the two colors on the two different sizes because it's a new color. I'm going to put the adhesive, the difference is very subtle, but I'm going to put the adhesive on the lighter side so the darker side shows. And your circle should fit perfectly within that white stitch circle on the scallop. And then I was going to say, I know I took my foam tape out. We're going to put some foam tape on the back of this circle with the heart. And you're just going to need some skinny pieces because there's not a lot of real estate there to put the tape. So just put those 3 pieces. And then I'm going to center this on that blue circle. Now, if you don't like the raised pieces, you can always put it down flat if you prefer. And then we're going to put that larger plaid banner. I'm going to line up the top edge with the top edge of the card about a ½ an inch in, 3/8 to a ½ an inch from the left side of the card. So these cards are pretty easy to put together. It's just the paper and the die cuts that make them so beautiful. And of course, the die cuts make it easy to put them together since they're already cut out for us. So we're going to use the heart stamp, and I'm going to put foam tape on this too. And I'm going to put this on the right side of the banner. I'm going to cover up, I'm going to put it like halfway on the banner and halfway on the white. And then the only thing left to do is to add our shimmer. And this is a shimmer brush. It's the gold shimmer brush that everybody got in their kit. When it's brand new, it'll come in a bag. I'm just looking to see if I have a new one over here. Okay, so the new ones, oh, hold on just a second. I can grab one over here. Okay, so it comes in the bag. Whoops. Comes in a bag. You'll notice you have this bright yellow plastic piece on it. What you're going to do is you're going to unscrew it. You're going to take this plastic piece off, remove it, and throw it away. I'm going to go back to my other brush here. Mine looks slightly different because mine was the first generation of these. Okay, so you took your bright yellow circle off. Then you're going to poke your top into the base of the pen, and you're going to make sure you screw it tight. Basically, the bottom of it contains the all the liquid, and it is sealed when you get it. And removing that piece of plastic, I didn't want to actually open that one yet. Removing that piece of plastic allows you to puncture it, which will allow the liquid to flow to your brush, and that's how they ship them safely. I got some scrap paper here, and then you can boy, I really got my top on tight here. Okay. You can shake it up a little. See, you'll hear a rattle in it with the top on. Don't shake it with the top off, or liquid could splatter all over the place. Twist your top off, pull it off. Make sure that your brush portion of it is screwed in tightly to the base. Mine's well loved, so I've got some extra shimmer going on over here. Okay, so being a new pen, you'll have to get your liquid into your brush. You can see mine is already gold because I've already used it. So you can squeeze it. Hold it with the tip down and try to brush onto scrap paper. If no gold is coming out yet, squeeze lightly, gently, and you'll see, you should see a drop of liquid will come out. Make sure you do this over a tissue or scrap paper, because if you squeeze too hard, a lot will flow out. And then you should be good. And we're just going to lightly paint this over our die cuts. So I did, and hopefully you could see that shimmer in the camera. I painted this circle with the heart, and I painted the scallops on the scallop circle. Now, I will warn you, I just painted the whole circle here. And it should flow, it should keep flowing well for you as you're working. If for some reason it doesn't and you have to squeeze it again, only squeeze it very, very gently and do it over scrap paper or a tissue, because you don't want that sometimes a lot of liquid will come out, and then you don't want that on your project. And I will also warn you that when I made these cards the first time, the sample cards, it looked shimmery really well at first. And then when it dried, the shimmer kind of dried into into the paper. So then I had to go back and put a second coat in. And it was just because the paper, the die cuts are printed out are very absorbent. But then after I went through the second time, you could still see that shimmer. So after the class, like tomorrow or in a couple days, when you look at them and you go, wait, where'd my shimmer go? You may have to, paint a second coat. Judy, if nothing is coming out, put your um, your cover back on and shake it a little bit. You should hear the beads in there that mix it jangling a bit. I don't know if you can hear that, mine. And then you can take your cover off and see if that works. And if not, then just squeeze it gently again. Now, the first time, the sample card I did, I tried not to paint over the white lines, and this time I did paint on the white lines, which resists the gold a little bit. We'll see what happens as it dries. Hey, Barb, glad you got on. If you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so on this scallop circle, I am just painting the scallop portion basically on the outside of that white stitched line. So I don't know if the camera is really showing that detail. Oh, you can kind of see the reflection in the light there because it's still very wet. So just the scallop portion on the outside of that white line. I mean, you could paint the whole thing, but I didn't want to risk getting the gold on the blue. So that's why I stayed on the outside. Now adding all this glitch can get kind of addictive. So if you want to go ahead and paint your stamp or parts of your banner, you are welcome to do that as well. You can add as much as you want. And there we go. Oh, good, Judy. I'm glad it started working for you. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get it going. So that's it. That's all we had to do for this card. And like I said, after it dries tomorrow or at some point, you may look at it and say, oh, what happened to that gold? But like I said, when you get to, you put a second coat on and that, and then it will show up. I talked to some of my teammates about that, and they said they've had that happen before on other papers too. So I guess it's just the quality of the shimmer paint. Just want to warn you that this will take a little while to dry, so put it aside in a spot where it won't get where you won't put your good paper on top of it and smudge it. Sorry, my words aren't coming easily tonight. Okay, I always store my shimmer brushes upside down. So the liquid is ready to flow out the brush. Maybe, I don't know if that's actually what you're supposed to do. I don't know if it, let me look. if it pull now that I say that, I'm second guessing myself. No, there's none in there. It's okay. Um, I'm just so used to storing markers and pens that way. But definitely while we're in the class, we want to keep that liquid close to the brush because we're going to use it again. I am going to put my scrap paper aside though, so I don't get my next card in it before I paint. Okay. Been a while since we've had a class. I'm out of practice as to where all my supplies are. All right, so this is the next card. And your card will be white. And you've got these deep brown and pink pieces. As well as this pinky shimmer trim. This is I have to look because it's rose gold shimmer trim, but the glitter paper is desert rose, so I always get mixed up as to which name is which. But this is the rose gold shimmer trim, and I'm just getting my notes ready in case there's any questions. Okay, and all these cards are the same size. So again, it should be 4 by 11. And the halfway point for scoring, if you need to score it, is 5.5. Like I said before, you could also just fold it in half. If you don't have a scoreboard or you don't want to score. All right, so this paper is actually the full size of the card, so it's going to cover the card front completely. Now, every once in a while, a paper cutter or a ruler is not quite calibrated accurately, and the paper you get, sometimes the 12 by 12 paper isn't exactly 12 by 12. Excuse me, or 8.5 by 11. So excuse me. So I am going to tell you that when you attach something that's supposed to be the full size, what I will always do is attach it to the fold side first, because that way, this one is perfect, so it's not a problem. But if it's a little short, if you attach it to the fold side first, like let's say it was a little short, and see how this white is showing, you don't want it to show, you can just trim that off. You can't trim it off if it's on the fold. And then it doesn't matter, the left and the right are both cut edges, so it doesn't matter. But I would, again, if it's a little short, I'd align it to one side so that I just have to trim the other side to make it match. And again, this paper, like all of these patterns, are be careful of the shimmer. I have gold on my finger, so it's transferring. It has the embossed side, the resist side, the other side. So I'm going to put my tape on that side. But if you wanted to use that side, you are welcome to. So I'm lining up the fold first and attaching it. And likewise, if this piece was longer than the card, again, lining it up with the fold side, if it was hanging off the edge here, you can trim it easily. You could trim it off the fold side, but then you also risk cutting into the fold, which of course we don't want to do. So there you go. That's should be perfect. It should fit perfectly on your card front. Okay, so we have our pink piece that's going to be our banner, and we're going to dovetail our end here, so it looks like a banner. Now these are what the white one was a little bit different. The rest of the colors of this paper, I am using this, it kind of looks like brush strokes, if you can see that on the pattern. The other side is kind of more of just a texture. But again, if you like that side better, you're welcome to use it. I am just verifying my measurements here. So I like to verify them because, like I said, it was a while ago when I made these, and I don't want to tell you the wrong one. Okay, so it's 5/8. And so what we're going to do is on one end of our paper, and I'm going to mark the back, so the side that you don't want to use. So in this case, the textured for me, I'm going to make my pencil marks on the back because then I don't have to erase them. So I'm going to put my ruler, and I like to use quilting rulers because I can do this, but if you have a regular ruler, I'll show you what to do. Basically, at from the end, you're going to mark at 5/8. So you're going to make a mark 5/8 up from the edge, and you're going to make it in the center, near the center of the banner. Now I made my mark quite dark so you can see it. You, of course, do not have to make it that dark, just as much as you can see it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center the other way. So your banner piece should be 3 inches wide. So at 1.5 inches, I'm going to make another mark that crosses it. And this is where I want the center of that dovetail to be. Now, you can do 2 things depending on how you like to work. You put your pencil on the center of that cross, and align your ruler at your pencil and go to one of the corner points. And then you go the opposite way. Now, you can draw these lines if you want. And if you draw them, then you can take your scissor and you can cut along it from point to center. Or you can, if you don't feel you need the drawn line, you can take your X-Acto knife, line up your ruler where it belongs, and just make the cut. So you eliminate the step of, excuse me, you just eliminate the step of, of drawing the line. Or you don't even, if you wanted to, you can just eyeball with your scissors too. If you don't like using your X-Acto knife and ruler, you can eyeball from the corner to the center. Whichever way makes you more comfortable to cut that. And like I said, I'd mark those on the back so I don't have to erase them, and it's all clean on the front. Sorry, I was just looking at my notes. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put adhesive on the back, whoops, back of my banner. And I'm going to attach it to my card approximately 1 inch from the top, centered left to right. Now I'm working on a grid here, so I can actually just use the markings of the grid to estimate my inch down from the top. I can also use a ruler. This ruler is 1 inch wide, so I could put that down and butt it up against that if I wanted to do that. Or I can make a mark with a pencil, or I can just estimate it. Again, however, whoops, why? Sorry, I hope you didn't put yours down yet. Oh, that's why. It's not 1 inch from the top, it's about 1/2 inch from the top. Sorry about that, guys. It's really kind of, the whole thing is really kind of centered on the card. So centered top and bottom at the points and centered left to right. And because I pulled that up, it's kind of curling a little, so I'm just gonna make sure I burnish that down so it's flat. And then the reason why I estimated that wrong is because when I put my shimmer trim on, and again, this is shimmer trim, so it has adhesive and you have to pull the backing off. You can usually tell the difference between the shimmer trim and the glitter paper, because the shimmer trim is a little more flexible. See, whoops, see when I'm holding it, it's a little floppy. Usually the glitter paper is thicker, so it won't bend like that. I am going to align this up with the top of the banner. I thought I had put it this way, which is why my measurement was wrong, but I put it across the top of the pink banner and lined up the top edges. Now, on this one of my edges was pretty flat, so I could have just started at the edge, but it was just easier for me to hold it and put it down across like that. So again, I'm just going to turn my card over, trim at the cardstock so my edges are all lined up. And then we're going to put this strip on the inside. And it's about 1.5 inches from the bottom. But, you know, if you're somebody who needs more space to sign your name, you could put it up higher or lower or just at the bottom, or leave it off until you've you know, put your sentiment on the inside, whatever works for you. And I just, you know, I just picked a spot that looked good when I was making the sample. You certainly can choose a different spot if you'd like. Okay, and now we're going to get to our die cuts. I'm going to put that heart in a safer place. I'm afraid I'm going to drop it. Okay, so we're going to use the big floral die cut here, and I'd say it is a little delicate with all those outlines, so just be careful when you're popping it out of the carrier sheet that you don't rip it. See, some of them just want to fall out, and others just take a little more effort. Okay. And then we're going to also use a bunch of hearts. So let's see here. We're going to use this one here, this white heart that's above where that heart stamp was, so directly above it. Pop that out. We're going to also use this other white heart, the skinnier one that's just to the left of it. Go past the leaf and it's right there. And then we're going to use some of the brown hearts. And let me see here. We're going to use, if you come down here next to the edge of the plaid, there's one with an outline. We're going to use the one above it. And then we're going to use this one here that's right above the sweet in the bottom right hand corner. And then we're going to use a little skinny one. I just have to find it. Okay. It's inside this banner here below the sweet. There's a little banner with a heart inside. And we're not going to use the banner. We're just going to use the little heart. So we have 5 hearts. Okay, I'm going to get my scrap paper out because I need it to put my adhesive on my die cut. So I'm going to put the big floral on first. Hold it over the white so you can see it. And I'm going to hold it so that there are 3 leaves on this side on the right, and there are 2 leaves right next to each other on the left. And then the 3 solid leaves are the bottom left. So that's what I'm going to say is the front of it. So I'm going to turn it upside down to put my adhesive on. And I'm going to use my glue pen. And this is my Zig 2-way glue. And I just want to get it started. And then I want to brush it onto the die cut shape. Now, I want to be careful because it's so skinny that this glue is getting I'm brushing some onto the scrap paper, which is fine. You just don't want to move your shape, because if you accidentally move your shape, it shifts and then it'll get into that glue in the scrap paper, and then you'll have glue on the right side of the die cut, which will dry. It just sometimes leaves a little bit of a sheen, or it's sticky while you're working with it, and you don't want that. I'm going to stick it, and after you have the glue on it, you want to stick it down as quickly as possible, because this is 2-way glue, which means it is a permanent tack before it dries. But if I waited and didn't let it dry, it would become like a Post-it note, a temporary tack, and you can remove it, which is really useful in some cases, but in this we want a permanent stick. So that's why I wanted to make sure I got it down as quickly as possible. Now, if you don't have a glue pen, you could use a glue stick. You could use some liquid glue. If you use liquid glue, make sure you have a very steady hand, and just put dots of glue in, some locations. And I suppose if your liquid glue ran a little heavy and you couldn't get that narrow a bead of it, you could always like put it on like with your finger or with a popsicle stick or something like that. This is the only challenge with some of these die cuts is they're very beautiful and these intricate ones, and we're always drawn to them, but then how to attach them is always a challenge. So, so that's that. And then the hearts I'm going to attach with foam tape. Now, some of these are rather tiny, so I'm gonna have to cut really small um, pieces of foam tape. I'm gonna work on the scrap paper so you can see a little better, but I'm going to um, remove that piece that has the glue on it so I don't get into the glue. So I'm going to turn my hearts over to the back side, and really the only ones that have a back side or right side are the ones that are white. The other ones, they're the same front and back. And I'm going to put a small piece of foam tape on each of them. Now, if you don't want to deal with these tiny pieces of foam tape, certainly you can just glue them flat. But I'm cutting my foam pieces into small, tiny pieces. This is why I like to use the rolls of tape as opposed to the individual, um, you know, squares or dots of them they sell. I mean, you could cut those up too, but I just find it easier if it's already in a roll to, um, and you unroll it. It's a rectangle. You can cut it into any size piece you want. Now, the look at this giant piece we could put on the biggest heart. Ha ha ha. So there's the pieces of foam tape, and now I can attach these to the card. So the largest heart with the white, I'm going to put that down in the bottom left corner of the banner, right over the point, kind of on an angle there. And then the smallest heart, the skinny little one, I'm going to put up and to the right of that. So it's kind of between the white heart and the die cut. And then the next biggest one, which again is whoops. See, these pieces of foam tape are so small, sometimes they come off when you try to peel the backing. I'm going to put this in the top right, and it's going to overlap again at an angle, and it's going to overlap the shimmer trim. And then the skinny one with the white is going to be down and to the left. And then the last brown one will be down and to the right. So I kind of did a flow, kind of like, you know, an angle here is what I was thinking when I added the hearts on there, which is the shape I was kind of creating. And now I'm going to dump my foam tape backing pieces so I don't make a mess. And I am going to put gold shimmer brush onto those hearts. And I didn't put them on the white. I just put them on the 3 that are brown. And again, I'm just gonna test my brush on the scrap paper first, make sure it's flowing okay and not too much. And then I'm just going to brush it onto the hearts. It's also important, like I said, make sure it's flowing, but not too much. If a whole bunch is coming off, y- y- you want to get that puddle onto your scrap paper, and not puddle it onto your piece because a lot of liquid can warp paper, and also you know, it could flow a lot and get into spots um, where you don't want it. And mine is very wet, so I'm actually gonna lift up this one that is dry and completed. Now, you can use any color of the shimmer brushes on these pieces. I used the gold because I thought the gold wasn't going to make you buy a whole bunch of colors, and I thought the gold worked on all of these colors. Um, uh, the other thing you could do is you could always paint them. You could ink them. If you want to change this color, the brown, um, there are the things you can do to change the colors of these die cuts. Of course, you're starting with a brown, so they're not gonna, a light color isn't gonna work. But if you wanted um, to paint them or ink them a medium or a dark color, that would look great. You would just have to make sure um, you let them dry completely before you start before you start gluing them down, because not only could that ink or paint transfer to your fingers and make a mess, sometimes the dampness of it, the glue won't adhere it as well. So that would be a whole nother process to ink them, let them dry, and then glue them to your project. Now remember, after you put your shimmer brush on your hearts, to set your card aside in a safe place so that you don't put anything on top of it while it's drying. All right. Again, I'm going to get rid of my scrap paper that has shimmer on it. And we'll move on to the next card. This blue and saddle. This color is actually saddle. It's a medium brown. And I got a lot of shimmer on this transfer on this card. I handle these cards a lot while I'm making them, photographing them, cutting out the kits. So sometimes they get a lot of shimmer, things like the shimmer transfer. But you know what? If there's extra sparkle on the card, actually, I don't even think you can see it that well, but I don't mind. So I put my pieces aside. And I am going to score my card again at 5.5 inches. Okay, and again, with these papers, we're going to cover the whole card front, not leave a border. We did that on the last card, but this one we're going to use several pieces of paper to do that. Now I know this one is darker. This color is called Harbor. It's a deep blue. Again, I want to use the side that has the brush strokes in it. The other side is the texture. If you prefer to use that, that's fine, but I am going to put my adhesive on that textured side. And I'm going to line this up with the left side of the card. Now I'm going to actually turn my card so I can, like I said before, I'm going to line up the top with this top fold, and I'm going to line up the left edge and to make sure that it fits right. And it does. So I've got 3 edges all aligned. And now I'm going to put this piece, it's kind of a clamshell design on the right. I'm putting my adhesive on the resist side. I'm going to warn you. Oh, hold on. I'm going to line up the top with the top folded edge of the card, and I'm going to line up the right edges. And as you can see, it should completely cover the card, the front of the card. I am going to warn you, when you finish your cards, you may not want to stack them because the gold shimmer from the front of like one of the cards can transfer to the back of the other cards. I put my samples in the envelope with my kits, and that's why there's extra shimmer on some of the paper. It doesn't bother me so much, but if you don't want that shimmer to transfer, you may want to put well, you could always put it in the envelope, or you could put kind of a scrap piece between them. Because even after it's dry, if you have a lot of that shimmer on it, sometimes you know what it's like when you have something glittery. No matter what, the glitter gets over everything, right? Okay, so this is a ribbon. This is a blush color ribbon, and it's a pretty sturdy ribbon. So I don't have any trouble putting my adhesive down along it. If you do have trouble getting it to stick, you could always use like a roll of tape like this. Then I'll use this just to show you. And this is a double-sided tape. This is called Miracle Tape, but they also have the red line tape and the score tape and a million other name brands for it, which this is a 1/4 inch thick, and the tape is a 1/4 inch wide, and my stickles tried to escape. The ribbon is probably about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch wide, so that fits right on there. And I'm just going to burnish that down to make sure the sticky adheres to the ribbon really well. If the ribbon is more like I said, it's a pretty sturdy ribbon. Sometimes the ribbon is a little flimsier or a little more fabric, and sometimes the adhesive doesn't stick to it as well. This one, hopefully you won't have a problem with. Okay, and I'm taking off the tape backing. And again, when I attach this to the card, I am going to center it over the intersection of these 2 pieces of paper. But I am starting again at the fold, the top of the card, the fold line. And I know it's a little bit longer, so it will overhang the end, and then I can just trim it. I always like to turn it around to trim it to make sure I'm really lined up properly, and then, make it a perfect length. And again, because, I like to burnish almost everything I attach to give it a good stick, but especially when it's something like ribbon, or glitter paper, where the stick might be it needs a little more help to stick. You really just want to burnish it well. I'll give you this tip if again, hopefully you won't have problems with this, but if you did have a ribbon that you couldn't get the adhesive to stick to, you could always um, draw a bead of glue down where you want it to lay. So put the glue onto the card and then stick the ribbon onto it. I suppose you could actually put liquid glue onto the ribbon too, but if it's really floppy and it's long, you could have some trouble. I always make a mess, so I find it easier to put that glue onto the card and then put the ribbon down onto it. Oops. Don't pull an errant strand on your ribbon because it will unravel like I just did. Always better to cut it. Okay. We're going to put our strip onto the inside of our card before we move on to our die cuts. And I am missing a strip. I hope you guys are not missing a strip. I hope you guys all got an extra strip. If you are missing the inside strip, let me know and I will send it to you. I suppose it's possible it could have ended up in another envelope too. I'm not going to worry about mine for now. But basically it's another strip the same size as the one in the front. And you are going to line that up with the left edge. And again, start at the top because you want to make sure you are below that fold line in the center and attach it down. And if there's any overhang, you can always trim it off the bottom of the card. Then you're going to put your blue strip on, and again, I used the brushed side, so I put adhesive on the back, and I line it right with the edge, the left edge of that brown pattern paper. Line it up at the top, shove them right next to each other, and attach it down. And that's the inside of your card. If somebody could type in the chat if they have it or not in their envelope, just to give me some peace of mind. I'm hoping maybe I just was shortcutting one and I didn't put it in mine and I forgot to go back and cut another one. Because I will do that sometimes. Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay, so if Martha and Lindsay have theirs, probably everybody has theirs. Thank you so much. And Barb too. Great. Good. It's just me. If there's always a piece short or a piece like that's cut a little narrow or something like that, I always stick it in my kit. So, you know, occasionally we'll come to this situation. I'm like, oh, what happened? But it was just because I didn't, I was probably cutting, you know, a strip and was cutting the skinny strips and I was probably short one and I meant to go back and cut another one and I just didn't. Okay, so now we're going to get our die cuts out. And we're finally going to use this frame, which I don't know about yours, but mine's been dangling off my die cut sheet the whole time. So we're going to use the outside, the larger outside square. It has this plaid. It's in the bottom left corner. Inside is the outline of the banner we used on the first card. We're not going to use this piece, so we can put that aside for now. We are going to use these 2 skinny arrows that are on the right side above that heart that has love in the middle of it. Careful when you punch these out. It's hard to grab onto those sometimes. Okay, we're going to use the other white heart. This is flopping out, so I'm just gonna pull this out. This white heart that's kind of right smack dab in the center of the sheet, just about. Okay, we're gonna go to the top, and this area that's got the white polka dots on it, we're gonna use this large heart. And then we're going to use the smaller fat one that is to the bottom right of that that larger heart. And then we are going again to the right of that. We're going to use this heart here that's upside down on the sheet that has the white stitching around it. And that banner came loose, so I'm just putting it aside. And then we need the outline of the heart. Oh, which is down here at the bottom again, next to that big heart that had the love in it. We're going to take that heart, and then we're going to take the middle heart out of it. And we're just going to use the outline. Sorry. Really got to get those over the white so you can see them. Okay, so I think that's all the shapes for this card. And honestly, I don't know what's easier. I figured if you kept them in the sheet, you know, then I could tell you where I found them in the sheet. But I don't know, when the class is done and you have all those leftovers, if you want to poke them all out and put them all in a baggie. I don't know. Sometimes I think they're easier to see if they're still in the background sheet. Oops. I have another escapee over here. Just make sure when you put them in the bag after class, you seal the bag. Otherwise, you'll lose pieces. Okay, so we're going to put this frame on first, and we're going to put that on flat. So, whoops, my tape keeps sticking to my tissue there. So I'm just going to put adhesive, flat adhesive, double-sided adhesive onto the back of that frame. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it at an angle. So I'm going to put the top right corner in the middle of the ribbon, about a quarter of an inch down from the top of the card. And then I'm going to angle it down so that the top left corner of the frame is again about a quarter of an inch, a little less than a quarter of an inch from the left hand side of the card. And it does not have to be precise at all. That's just how I put mine on. Okay, and then we'll put our arrows on next, and I had them both down here at the bottom pointing towards the ribbon. they're offset there. I used my, again, my glue pen to get the adhesive on these. And they're really skinny, so don't be surprised if you get glue on your fingers when you're trying to attach them. The bottom one here, I'm going to put that one on first. And really, you want to put them down and try to press, when you press them onto the card, press flat down, because if you kind of rub them to the right or the left, it'll tend to shift a little bit. But it's kind of centered on the blue paper, a little bit right of centered, but pretty close to centered on that piece of blue paper. Oh, Judy's asking where the last heart is. The last heart was the outline. Sorry to go backwards, guys. And it's here down in the bottom right, next to this big heart that had, this was the big heart that had the love in it. And it's right next to there. And it was an outline with another heart in it. And we took that other heart out and we're just using the outline. Okay, so now just want this other piece back. We're going to put glue on the other arrow, and we're going to put it about a 1/4 inch above the first one, maybe about 3/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to shift it to the right a little bit.